My name is Brian Zacharias, and I have a story to tell. And that story is about finding hope in a hopeless situation. When you look at the news, which I do, and you're reminded of the climate change situation, or various other disasters, it is important to maintain hope even under those conditions. And there is help beyond what we may ask. So I will relay one of three miracles that I want to get out there because I think it'll do some good. So in order to make this miracle credible, I have to get into a bit of my personal life and what led up to the event. And my life was probably pretty traumatic. I was a person who had unlimited amounts of energy, and I could work like 16 hours a day. But I don't think I was at peace. I was always a bit on edge and always thinking that something was not right, and I was looking for some way through that. At any rate, I was working on a survey crew one summer, and that was mid-university for my BA. And I had this thought enter my mind, and as I was pounding a survey stick in for the future road, the thought entered my mind that if I didn't put that stake in just the right spot, somebody would end up in a terrible car accident, and I'd be the guy who was responsible. So there were several other occasions where I got a thought that if I did such and such, a disaster would happen. So eventually, or rather suddenly, I became paralyzed in the sense that I could no longer work. So under these circumstances, my parents decided to take me to a psychiatrist, and I had a talk with a psychiatrist, and she, Dr. Mahood, committed me to University Hospital Psychiatric Ward. And I was diagnosed with psychoneuroses, which is basically a thought has taken over your mind, or my mind in this case, and that thought becomes overpowering. Now, even though I knew the thought was not real or relevant, I could not dismiss it. So the shock treatments were what were prescribed, and I think I received 7 of them. And I was, strapped to a gurney and electrodes put on my brain, and you get a jolt. The thing I liked the most about that was when they sent you off to Never Never Land with a sedative. But anyway, after 7 sessions, I had a I was released from that neuroses. And I managed to get myself out of the hospital. And I was staying at my parents' place. That's where I went when I was in trouble. So it became the May long weekend, and my dad was this guy who really escaped by going fishing because he was a school principal and there was considerable pressure in that realm, as I well know, because it is not easy to be the son of the principal. It's a bit of a tight spot. But at any rate, we decided to go fishing up the Hanson Lake Road to Pushquaca Creek. And the other person in our group was Pete Lafleur. He was a teacher under my dad, and he was the brother of Guy Lafleur, the hockey player. So it's a small world. So anyway, we got to the river and we set up the tent and we launched the boat and we headed up river. And there were ice on the shore and the air was crispy. It was a beautiful day and the fish were biting. So I was sitting in the bow of the boat as we were going upriver, and I was looking out over the hills, and I think it was about a couple of kilometers away. There was a hill that my eyes were on, and at that moment, I heard my name called. In the air, it came from that hill, and it was definitely directed at me. It almost was a solid going through the air, sort of like a brick, and it entered my right ear, and I heard it, Brian. So I looked at my dad and Pete Lafleur, and they didn't hear it. So I looked out again over that hill, and I heard it again, Brian. So this is in the realm of, let's say, the paranormal. This is in the realm of something we're not accustomed to. So it takes quite a bit to absorb that in that moment. In fact, it takes years to absorb what happened. So I probably was in a bit of a trance, and I was sitting on the bow of the boat, which was slippery, and I slid into the water quietly because Dad and Pete didn't hear me. So I didn't panic. I paddled over to where my dad was fishing, and he saw me down there. And he said, "Brian, what are you doing down there?" And I just said, "Could you help me into the boat?" And he did. So I ended up sitting in the bow of the boat, shivering a bit. The water hadn't really felt cold. I didn't feel cold while I was in the water, and the sun was shining, and I managed to survive without getting a cold or something. So we went back. I didn't share what had happened to me because I just thought, well, this, who's going to believe me, right? So I just didn't say a word, and I considered maybe telling the parish priest, and I decided against that, and I more or less let it go. I didn't pursue that voice. I didn't inquire, well, hey, you're calling my name, what do you want, and who are you? Over a period of time, I came to the conclusion the best I could come up with was that God called my name, and it certainly wasn't a human. So that's why I'm sharing this, because I was in need, I was needy, and an entity called me. And I think that can happen to anyone, and it doesn't necessarily exclusively one religion or another. This is what this is why I'm telling this, is because if there's ever a time in our history we need help. So, I can be overly serious, and you'll have to let that one go. So, for now, this is about what I have to say, and hopefully I will be out there again with the second miracle, and hopefully you will contact me if you've had similar experiences. So thanks, and God bless.